Hello, everybody. Welcome to Around the League, episode 20. I am your host, the Cosmic Nightfury, Nico Suave Regoli. This is the show where we recap everything that happened in the world of Multiplex throughout the week. And my God, is it a stacked panel for today, because Fandom Fights Championship Week was this week, and we have a very large panel here to talk about it. First, let me introduce my guests. We're going to go to, he is the Commissioner of Multiplex Entertainment, Timothy T.M. Smith. How are you tonight, sir?
Watching Red Zone, just phoning in a performance here for you. Same old, every Sunday.
And Tim will have a very special announcement to start off the show once I get through these introductions. Two of them, yes. Okay.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you. I know I'm awesome. Thank you.
That was to the real champion that just showed up. Thank you all. Okay, go
ahead. It should be for the man that could take your champion's title away, but that's fine.
Oh, for crying out. Since he won't stop talking, I'll go to him next. He is the manager of two of the competitors in this call today. Cody, A New Hope Newberry. How are you today, sir?
I'm fantastic. Basically, you're welcome. I at least have three people on your panel are from my faction, and we had a long talk. We didn't think that this show was right for us to show up on, but Robert has a good heart and wants to talk about how he kicked ass, so we decided to show up on your show today. And Nico, it was a big week for Fandom. Which one of your competitors competed in that title week? Oh wait, didn't. There's Manager of the Year, everyone.
I'm going to mute him when I feel like it, folks, so don't worry. Next, we have one of his clients. Supposedly, he might be on Kool-Aid. We don't know. But Tim the Hulk Percala, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Nico. I've had 3 Jack and Cokes. I'm ready to rock and roll. Let's talk.
Oh, gosh.
You might be drunker than the other Tim. Wow.
Oh, no, I haven't drank today, so he's drunker than me.
Wow. Okay. And speaking of clients of Cody Newberry, and still the Fandom Fight Singles Champion of the World, Robert the Hobbit Parker.
Better get used to saying that one, Nico.
Yes.
Christian, give him the call up so his head doesn't get too big.
That'll be the biggest part of his body.
Next, we have. He was one of Nuclear Options / dedicated to art. He competed for the team titles this past week. Christopher Skywalker Dohmen, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing very well. Long-time listener and happy to make my appearance finally on the show. Come on, you gotta start off corny when you join in.
You
so that way,
to Nico every week. Good Lord.
Well, once I started getting involved, it's like, well, I need to actually know what the hell's going on with this with the league, because I've kind of been out of the loop for a while before I came back, so you'll have to forgive me.
And finally, he is one half of the Full Metal Trivia team champions and also the manager of the newly crowned Fandom Fight team champions, the Silver Shamrocks, Michael Zozo Campbell. How are you today, sir?
Could you repeat the second part of the intro? It cut out.
What'd
you say? You're talking about the newly crowned. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the team match. I don't know what happened. It's all a blur. Refresh my memory about what happened.
Your team doesn't even know what happened.
I know.
They really don't.
Doesn't that make you all?
It really does.
But happy to be here.
His Wi-Fi is doing the Chance Ellison dance, but we'll get through it today. So before we get to the actual matches that took place this week, as we mentioned at the beginning, oh, by the way, Caleb Coho will eventually be on the stream at some point in time, but he is not here yet. He is running late. So while we wait for him and before we discuss the matches that happened this week, Tim Smith, you have some special announcements for us regarding the future of Multiplex Entertainment. So go ahead and say what those announcements are.
All right. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get this out of the way because we have tapings tonight. So if you see me mysteriously leave at 8 o'clock, it's not because Cody and Michael won't shut the hell up. It's I have a job to do. But first announcement, and this involves the regular TV league outside of Fandom TV. Worked on it for a while, a new format for it to get better involvement from players, new players, possibly from this. And I'll run it down with an example. Since this is Nico's show, I'll use Nico as an example. And Chris, you're probably right now the front runner for ones I like right here, right now. So Chris will use you as another example.
Thank you.
All right. Now, if you've seen Fandom TV, you know the different categories in there. So what I want each of you to do is give me 2 of your favorite shows outside TV fandom categories. Any 2.
Chris, you may go first.
Oh, geez. I will say Stranger Things and we'll go House.
Okay, Kane McMillan is drawing hearts around your name for saying you love Stranger Things. Nico, what are 2 of yours?
Let's say Lie to Me from Fox.
Nice.
Very good one.
And let's say Family Matters.
Okay. No, and that's totally fair because you can be strategic with this when you play. Now, you've seen that each of these competitors here have picked their strengths. Now, how this works in round 1, you'll have 8 questions, one worth 1 point. These are if you know the shows, you should be fine. Just 1 point questions, 2 from each of their strengths, and 4 more from taking what year you compete in, the Nielsen ratings top 10 shows of the most popular that people should have heard about, known about, what have you, from that year. Just a simple question like, here's one. Who's Sheldon and Leonard's neighbor on Big Bang Theory? Something like that.
Tim Smith.
Now, going into round 2, that's when the wheel plays in. Each competitor will have both of their strengths and only 2 shows from the top 10 ranking on there. And, of course, players and opponent's choice. You spin that, you get 4 questions worth 2 points apiece. You can opt down to multiple choice. Now, round 3 is where it gets interesting. Round 3, we bring back that wheel of 6 shows, the 2 strengths for each of them, and then 2 different ones from the top 10. So you're kind of mixing around with at least shows people will know about. But here's how round 3 will work. Whoever is behind, let's say hypothetically we go into this. Nico, you have experience with TV, so I'll give you 1. Let's say the score's 10-6 going into round number 3 with Nico's advantage. So Chris would go first. He spins the wheel. He lands on Stranger Things. Now, here's where things can get interesting. He lands on that. He has the option to take 4 questions worth 1 point apiece, 4 questions worth 2 points apiece, or 4 questions worth 3 points apiece. And let's say he takes the 3 points because he just really wants to give it to Nico. And he hits all 4 of them. He gets 12 points. Then we'll go to Nico's turn. He spins. He lands on Family Matters. He has the same option to go 1 point, 2 point, or 3 points. Okay. And I already thought of sudden death as well. You would just go with questions, and then whoever the first one to hit and the first one to miss, that's the game right there. So you can really go in that. But I think with doing it this way, you get better involvement from competitors and maybe some new competitors who don't feel that strong about TV, but have a better chance of landing on something they know, that they've watched, that they're a fan of. So it might be a better way of doing it. And we're going to implement those rules because, of course, we're getting close to the end of the year. And, of course, Multiplex is going to have our end of the year event, even though I want it named something else, but I lost in votes. We'll get to that later. So how it's going to work is we're going to have 2 matches with our top 4 competitors. JTH, Subroth going against each other, and then Sandy and Malcolm going against each other. I see Cody shaking his head. It's TV. It's a small league. Shut up. I don't need that sass. But anyways.
I just hope he stays through the whole match. Go ahead.
But they'll face off. The winners of those will then go in a triple threat with Zaddius Smith, and the winner of that faces Jim Green for the TV championship at the year-end event. And then once we come back after our break at the end of the year to come back into the new season, those are going to be the rules moving forward for regular TV. So hopefully we see some more involvement from people, seeing a better chance of getting something that they're strong in a division that, to be perfectly honest, whenever I started this back in the day, this is a movie division. So, of course, everyone's favorite thing is going to be movies, with inner geekdom stuff, with geek stuff. You know, TV is kind of like that weird thing to see how it would do. So I think this one might have a better shot of really kicking that off. That was the first one. The second one, since I just mentioned the year-end event, which we are calling, and here's where I lost my vote. We are calling Multiplex Presents The Last Stand, our year-end event, which is going to be pretty action-packed. We're going to have 3 videos like you saw with Mayhem at the Multiplex. Here's how that's going to work. In the videos, you'll see these matches. Of course, like I just said, the regular TV championship, because I want to see somebody take it away from Jim and watch him cry. Whoever does that, I'll buy you a free shirt from tpublic.com. Next, you're going to see the Warzone title, which is going to be Paulo Yama defending his title out of the winner, which we are shooting it tonight, is why I said I'll be leaving at 8. He will be defending his title against the winner of Jake Marangoni and Eli McKeag. Now, I will come back to that, so remember those players for what I said for that Warzone match. A new match, which we'll be introducing, is a free-for-all match with 10 competitors in that match that we will handpick from the cream of the crop, you could say, from around Multiplex that we've seen so far. And it'll go 10 rounds, starting with a 1v1 format. One person gets eliminated, another one comes in a free-for-all format. Now, that will be... for each 10 rounds, you'll get 5 questions, one from each of our divisions: TV fandom, movies, sports, and, of course, regular fandom that Jim ripped off for TV because he's unoriginal. But that's how that's going to work. And the winner of that will have an opportunity for any title they so choose in Multiplex. So... very big reward for whoever wins it out of those 10 competitors, which we will name at a later date in time. We'll talk about that probably within the next couple of days of dropping a few of those players' names to really hype it up. So you'll hear about that within the next very short time, next couple of days. A new match, because it was a very interesting thing that also happened in the past couple weeks. Caleb Coho's Co-Oscar Awards or Multiplex Awards, you could say. And he started it with Fandom, of course, because he runs Fandom. One of those was an interesting one, which saw a lot of drama, I guess you could say, was Manager of the Year. And, of course, that drama consisted of one, Cody Newberry, and everyone's favorite little down on your luck competitor, Nico Suave Regoli. So, what we've decided is this: we're going to have a manager bowl at said event, featuring Cody Newberry, Nico Suave Regoli, Brooklyn Vale, Michael Campbell, and a surprise 5th competitor, which will be announced at the event. Now, that's not all, folks, because we have one match that's going to cap it all off. Something new we're going to do every year just for this event.
Ooh.
I mean, you might see the free-for-all every once in a while, who knows, but this one is just going to be for this event, kind of like a big bragging rights type of thing. And it's going to be called the Multiplex Championship. Here's how this is going to work. This is going to be a championship that features champions from all the different divisions. I mean, right now we only have Warzone, regular TV, because the Fandom TV tournament is still going on. Sports is kind of in flux right now. Dan says he has an idea of a solution for it, so we'll see what happens with that. And, of course, the Fandom fights singles and teams, Warzone teams coming next season. But for right now, it's just going to feature champions that we already have.
Question.
Yes.
Is the Arrowverse Championship also considered for this match?
For right now, yes. Because once TV Fandom tournament concludes, as we've said before, the Arrowverse Championship rolls into that, so it's all the Fandom TV Championship. That's why Zadius had a first-round bye, so did Eli, because they both competed in that Arrowverse match. Rightfully so. Zadius winning that, so he was the #1 overall seed as the Arrowverse champion. Since we're not going to be done anytime soon to wrap up the end of the year with that, it's still going to count for this. But in the future, you're going to see Warzone, TV Fandom, sports, and regular Fandom. But for right now, to make it interesting, this is what we're going to do. So who you'll see in that match right now is the Arrowverse champion, Zadius Smith, the Fandom singles champion, Robert Parker, who's here. Of course, Cody clapping for his meal ticket. Paul himself, the movie Warzone champion, if he retains against the winner of Zadius and Jake in his match.
Eli and Jake.
Yes. If he successfully, basically the winner of that, whoever wins the championship will go into that match representing the Warzone champion. So it could either be Paul, it could either be Jake, it could either be Eli. Now, the next person in there, Jim Green, of course, is the TV regular champion for right now, but that rule also applies for the TV title. So if Jim retains it against whoever wins out of that challenges him at the year-end event, then he'll go in. If not, the other person will. And the fifth person to round that out, one half of the Fandom Fights team champions, Lucas Schobach. So you're going to see that for the first ever one at all. And whoever wins that is going to be crowned the Multiplex champion. It's
that event's really dominated by two particular people, isn't it? Funny how that works out.
Well, but anyways, those are going to be the matches for that, and wanted to come on, get some introduction, some hype with that. So to go over it again, we're going to have the TV title defended. We're going to have the Warzone title defended. A free-for-all with 10 competitors, which over the next few days we're going to drop a few names. Not all of them, but a few of them to really hype that up out of the 10 of the cream of the crop we all selected. The Manager Bowl, which ought to be very interesting with all the boisterous personalities that we've seen so far. Most of them are pretty much all here tonight.
Is the Manager Bowl?
That is going to consist of movie questions, TV questions, regular TV questions, and fandom questions. So there's going to be questions from all three of those categories. The Warzone Championship is going to be questions from all 5 of the different divisions for the big Multiplex Championship. Kind of like the same thing for the free-for-all, but not just 5 questions, 10 rounds. We'll try to – I know we're working on a different format for it, so we're still hammering that out, which we'll drop that too over the time once we get hammered out. But those are the big announcements for it. going to be a big event. Multiplex presents The Last Stand. Fun fact, I wanted to call it Multiplex Presents at World's End, and a picture of me sitting on a bar stool drinking my sorrows away. But, you know, we wanted to be family friendly and PC, I guess, so we went with that. But yes, that is the special announcement.
Family friendly, and so you choose a movie directed by Brett Ratner. Brett Ratner.
Oh, fair.
Yeah. But that is the big special announcements right there. So with the new TV rules moving forward, and with this new year-end event that we'll see starting at the end of this month, and then hopefully we're going to see it plenty of times in the future as we keep going until we all get old, which me is going to be quicker than a lot of you guys. Cody, you'll be up there with me.
So, just to clarify for the Multiplex Championship match, Paulo Yama is currently the Warzone champion, as you've described. If Eli or Jake uncrown him, then they will represent that division in that match. But he is also still one half of the Fandom Fight team champions. So will he be still competing in that match, or can it only be one half of the team champions competing?
It's only one half. It's only one half. And that's why Lucas was selected. Because Paul being the Warzone champion already, that's why Lucas was selected.
Paul still has a chance to get in anyways.
Huh?
Paul still has a chance to get in anyways if he defends his title.
Yes, if he defends his title, then he will be in. If not, then it could be, you could see Jake or Eli, depending on how it goes.
Okay, so I just want to run down the table and get everyone's thoughts on this announcement we've just received. And Robert, since you are now going to be a competitor in that Multiplex Championship match, being that you are the Fandom Fight champion, so how are you feeling going up against all of Multiplex's other champions?
Feeling confident. It's about all I got to say, to be honest. There's that's a lot of information dump, so I think it's just going to take a little bit of time to process for everyone. But I'm not concerned.
Michael, you will be competing as well, at least one of your silver Shamrocks at that event. Well, actually, both of them, they will be competing at that event. It's just a matter of how many matches. But how are you feeling, and how are you going to get your troops ready for that big event?
Yeah, the manager bowl is interesting. I only just found out about that. That should be fun, though. It should be a nice little fun match, a lot of shit talk that I can't wait to be on call and to turn into you versus Cody. So that should be fun. And the champion match, that's interesting. I don't think they'll cannibalize each other. I think they'll work together and pretty much be 1 and 2. They'll finish first and second. And I know, it's interesting. I don't know what Tim just announced. I need to write it all down and work out which is what is which. But yeah, it should be fun.
We'll probably put out a press release as soon as this episode is over.
Yeah, within the next few days, you'll see more and more information explaining each little bit. It was just something, since I was going to be on here anyway with the TV stuff, a good way to get that out so people can get the first notice of it now, instead of all of a sudden it appears a few weeks later and everyone's losing their minds going, what's going on? You know, so it's kind of a good way to get it out now while it's still early enough.
Okay, Tim Berkala, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this new information?
Well, as far as all the TV stuff goes, I think I like the sound of it. I don't plan on participating in TV League just because I'm not super confident in TV stuff. Like if it was TV fandom specifically, specific categories, that's the thing, is Arrow stuff, I'm pretty confident in, but anything else I'd be nah, thanks. So but it sounds cool. I like the changes that that Tim's talking about. It sounds like it'll, like he said, help participation for sure. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited. As far as the manager bowl goes, I mean, Like, okay, like we know who's gonna win that. And this
fuck
like
that shit.
and this I love you,
Thank
Nico,
you.
but I mean, come on. And then this like championship match thing. I love that idea, but again, I mean, like, come on, guys. Like, we know who's gonna win that too.
Dohmen, what are you excited for?
Wow, like I'm still trying to soak it all in. It's like, you know, the championship match sounds freaking awesome. That free for all sounds really interesting, although I do have to, like, just for curiosity's sake, so what was the thought process of putting that together, and why specifically one question from each division, if I may?
Well, through past history, it kind of really just came up real sudden with it, but it had some plays with a lot towards the end of past leagues. We had certain matches like this that were interesting, but depending on who would be involved running it, there weren't always that strongest people involved in properly running it. Now, with what we've done here, we've shown we have the people, we have the talent to run that, to write it, to get it all set up. So it's something of a special way to really close out the year and to give 10 lucky competitors a shot at their dream, so to speak. Kind of like Charlie with that golden ticket and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The good one, not the one Johnny Depp ruined.
Okay, and Mountain Newberry, you look like you have something to say.
Gosh, your trash talking is terrible. Just like your manager skills. Okay.
And just like your playing skills. Your playing skills.
When have you won a match? Besides wrestling talk, please shut your mouth.
Let's see here. I'm 2-2 in Fandom. I've won a match in TV. I'm in the Fandom tournament.
You can't.
Okay.
Gentlemen, please stop fighting in here. This is the war room.
Okay. Besides, good job, Tim. I think this event's going to be fantastic. With the change of TV, I will actually compete in that. That sounds like a lot of fun, so you can count me in. The championship match, great, but I know who's winning that one. I feel bad for people in Multiplex that you have to give screen time to Nico because he already gets to show how the hell that happened. Not sure, but he's going to be in a manager bowl, which hasn't managed anybody recently. So I guess I guess he helps them study, which I don't know how that happens. The free for all is going to be a lot of fun. I like how you said in past leagues. I agree with you 100%. I think you guys have the tools that could pull that off really well. And I'm really confused by this conversation that we're doing Paul versus Jake or Eli, please. Nico manages Eli, so congratulations, Jake. You're moving on to baseball. Have fun. Oh, hey, are you actually going to be on?
Muting him.
Are you just not going to be able? Are you going to be on that call, or do you just not know when it goes down? Because
me?
Apparently, no. I'm talking to Nico because he doesn't like to show up for his own teammates.
The match is scheduled for right after this ends, so there's a chance that I simply can't be here because we might go long.
Ask you guys a question. When you guys play Smarticus, was Nico on the call to help Smarticus?
No one told me when the match was happening. No one told me when the match was being taken.
Isn't it a manager's job to inquire?
All right.
So, Tim, I think this is a great idea. I can't wait to be able to gift a number one contenders when I win the manager bowl to one of my two clients that decided to stick by me. You will have a fun choice of picking who will finish last if you win, Nico, which not a shot in hell. So, Tim, can't wait for the thing. I wish it was called at World's End because the poster would have sold it. But you know what? It'll be fantastic.
I would have saved you a bar stool right beside me, Cody.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so we actually have some matches to talk about now. Whenever Caleb gets in here, he'll get in here. But we have to talk about the title matches first because I understand the Arkham Knights are on a bit of a time crunch. So let's start off with the team championship. It was Arkham Knights taking on Nuclear Option, taking on the Silver Shamrocks, and it was the South Park baseball team that won it out because no matter what, Paul and Lucas did not want to be there, and yet they are now the team champions with a final score of, let's see here, what was the score?
33, 32, 29.
No, 33, 30, 29, I thought.
It was 33, 32, 29. Yeah. There's an echo in the room. What are you doing, Cody? What are you doing?
I just have a clarification. Paul and Lucas did not win that match. Round 3 won that match. Because exiting round 2, it was 23-14. So yeah, round 3 won that match. Let me just clarify that.
I can see your head getting bigger.
Watch the match,
gentlemen.
Watch the
All
match.
right, gentlemen.
All right. Let's
I
go.
have to be the adult here.
I'm going to go to Michael first because his clients won that match, unlike someone else in this room.
All right.
So, Michael, what you obviously watched the match. What were your thoughts on your clients' performances now that they are the Fandom Fight Team champions?
Even though I had confidence in them, I still can't really believe it. It's still shocked to me that because I know what Robert, Tim, Case, I know what they do for this, like a rider in a whole nother league. Lucas, I kind of worry about Lucas because he huge recently for Fandom, and it showed in round 1. But as the match was winding down and they're about to win, I was just I was shocked. I still can't believe it. So I don't know how the players feel because it's still crazy to me that they're the fighting champions.
Okay, so now, from what I understand, there will be a match between the Arkham Knights and Nuclear Option, unless Tim can correct me and say something's different. But that's
correct.
Okay, then that is the plan to figure out
for
who's
the
going to
start
be,
of next season.
and that's also to figure out who's going to be the next contender for the Silver Shamrocks. So, Michael, who would you rather they face in their first title defense?
Well, there's going to be 4 teams before you answer that.
Yeah, it's the winner. In my understanding, Tim can correct me if I'm wrong. It's the winner of Arkham Knights and Nuclear Option versus the winner of Kings of Winter and Knights of Hydra.
Oh,
yes, that is correct.
So Mike,
that is the actual number 1 contender match. Is the winners of those matches.
Okay,
Yes.
So Michael, do you have a preference as to who you want your clients to defend their titles against first?
I do feel bad for the loser of Nuclear Option that they straight away and they 2 teams for them. But if I had to choose, I'd probably say Nuclear Option just because Robert is a writer in another league, and that is always scary when you're facing someone watching movies with a writer's mind and view. But I not really worried. If they beat Silver Shamrocks, okay, because these teams should be the champions, and it's crazy to me that they're not. Like I said, it's crazy to me that they're not. Basically, whoever.
Dohmen, you were part of the team that came in second in that match. So just give me your thoughts on your performance. How do you feel you guys did, and what do you wish you could have done better?
Fucking seagulls and fucking frozen heart, man. But okay, look, I could heart myself on that shit all day if I wanted to, but no, there's no point to it because this is what I need to, and these are just my thoughts on now reflecting on how the match went down. I just need to put in more study time, and trust me, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I will, because now that I'm 1-0 in the singles division, I got something else to prove if I can go 2-0. Sorry, Tim. You gave me a great fight, and you are a great competitor and a great guy. Don't forget it.
Oh, thank you.
Of course. And, Robert, we have an interesting history. I'd like to revisit it one more time for old time's sake. So, I'd like to try and prove myself in singles, and then as well as, you know, have that win against both you guys in a great match. And trust me, everybody, it will be a great match. But yeah, I really want to go for those belts again. I want to go for it. So, but that's why, again, I could beat myself up because, yeah, did I know a shit ton more answers than I, seem to not? Yeah, but you know what? It's all in the past. And plus, Case, yeah, sure, Case should have gotten that Back to the Future Part 2. He didn't. But hey, just looking forward, eyes on the prize. And Silver Shamrocks, you're not going to defend those belts.
I mean, you're probably those words don't really mean anything.
I'm seeing a lot of reactions from the Arkham Knights to those words. So I'm going to start with the singles champ, Robert.
So as far as... Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Nico. But as far as how we played in the team match, as Chris was saying, you can play the what-if game all day, and you can let that eat you up inside. You can play the what-if game of round 3, round 4, and round 5. You can play that game the entire day. Did we go to multiple choice when we didn't need to? Yada, yada, yada. You can do that all night. And we're not going to do that because that's making excuses. And that's not what we are. So we did not play our best 5-round game in that match, and it showed. We played brilliantly in the first 2 rounds, and it showed. Yes. If we're talking about a just 3-round match against Nuclear Option, I don't even know how it's close. I knocked Case the fuck out in the singles title match.
Yeah, you did.
You, by the skin of your teeth, Dohmen, by the skin of your teeth on the final question, you beat Tim. In round 1, Tim destroying you. In just matching up, Tim and I versus you and Case, people are going to say it's close. It's not. We are going to walk over you. We're going to leap and bound over whoever wins between Knights of Hydra and Kings of Winter. And then we're going to fight Silver Shamrocks, and we're going to win. Paul and Lucas are warming up the belts for us. We will get there, but I don't think it's as close as people are predicting between us and Nuclear Option.
I was trying to be nice about it, but if that's how you're going to play this, Robert, okay.
That's how he's gonna play it. That's on the table.
That's
day.
You
went 3 for 7 against Tim in the first round. 3 for 7. That's not even championship material on easy questions. Please. Next question: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Remember that promo exists. I'm telling you right now.
All right.
You know what, Cody? Guess what, you Red Sox fuck? Yeah, I made a mistake with the promo.
You 100% did.
I did.
But no. Okay.
But guess what, motherfucker? Who still came in second?
My turn.
How was that round 3? How'd that round 3 work out for you guys?
My turn. My turn.
How'd that round 5 work out for you guys?
That depends if you think of Half-Blood Prince as a sci-fi movie.
My turn. Okay, so basically how this breaks down. We were in a race with Silver Shamrocks to a destination. We stopped for snacks. They beat us. Now we're caught up. And we'll win when the titles are when they're rightfully ours. Case literally studied nonstop to try to beat Robert. Tried to beat Robert and couldn't make it to the 5th round. Dohmen's performance in singles and teams is laugh-worthy. No offense. He's been out of the game a while. No offense to you, but you can't hang with these two. They had a terrible round 3. We all know it. We've all seen it, and we've all talked about it. But guess what? In a 3-round match where round 3 is just betting, they could have bet 0 every time if the score was it, and you would have been knocked out. That's it. That's basics fact. So guess what? Enjoy facing us again. But again, it will just end like the singles match. It will not be pretty. Tim, you've been patiently waiting. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. All right. So here's what I have to say. I agree with everything that our manager and my teammate have said. That being said, I also do not want to discredit the fact that Dohmen still beat me. And so even if I think I should have won that match, I didn't. He still beat us. even though I think that had it been a 3-round match, like Robert said, we could play the what if game all night. It was still a 5-round match, and we lost. So all that being said, though, I think that we have a very easy path to the belts. That's, again, being said, to the belts. I'm not going to discredit Silver Shamrocks. They're really good. And I think that fight, we are going to have to really challenge ourselves with that 5-round format. Robert, obviously, his match with Case, a different story. But as a team, we have to really work on our 5-round format. So to get those belts, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult. But as far as the path getting there, taking on Chris and taking on Case, I don't think it's going to be a problem. And I don't even know who those other teams are we might have to face. So, not true. We already beat one of them, didn't we?
We already beat one of them, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, and they're the better team. So I think I don't think we have any problems here. Robert's still the champ. I blame myself for a lot of our problems in round 3. So I think that loss was definitely more on me than on Robert. But if anything, I'm more motivated now than ever. So again, credit where credit's due. Dohmen and Case, they beat us in points. Silver Shamrocks, they beat the both of us, and they have the belts. Dohmen beat me in singles. That's fine. But I'm more motivated now than ever, and me and Robert are going to come back next season, and it's not going to be pretty. I can say that much.
Okay, let's move on to the singles match, and 2 big things kind of happened in this. What? I'm sorry, Tim. I thought you just wanted to sit around and drink beer. Go ahead. What? You were there at the desk. What were your thoughts? You obviously had someone you wanted to win in that team's match, and it turned out exactly that way.
Well, to be perfectly fair, just going throughout the whole stats of that game, up to round 3, it was Arkham Knight's game. They played the better of round 1 and round 2. And it was a real close second place at that point with Silver Shamrocks and Nuclear Option 2.0, I guess you could say. And round 3 was the real killer for them, and then that kind of just carried on from round to round after that for them. And you saw Silver Shamrocks and Nuclear Option get stronger. And you saw a lot of planning, because during that match, because we had so many teams, we also had the private Skype calls, which there was judges in there to show that they were just conferring. There was no cheating going on to get their steals and whatnot. And I could tell, because I was there for the Nuclear Option one. It was a lot of planning, a lot of decisive choices to get those points. And after round 3, you just saw a changing of the guard, and it really came down to Nuclear Option and Silver Shamrocks. And as Paul and Lucas have said before, how the fuck did we get here? We didn't want to be here. How did this happen? And as Nico, like you said, one of the greatest analogies of that, it's the losing edge episode of South Park. They really don't want the championships, and they want it. And both teams gave stellar performance. I think, honestly, Dohmen was the real MVP for Nuclear Option. Paul and Lucas were just so in sync after, I think, going into round 2, they started to get really in sync, and then round 3, they had a very good round 3, round 4, and round 5, and they were both very in sync. And for Arkham Knights, I think Robert was more the shining star of that, because of round 3, you kind of saw the fluctuation with Tim, and Robert was that strong force. Of course, kicking himself with the Half-Blood Prince, but that's
it is a little bit. I will say, sci-fi inclusion makes that a little bit like iffy.
I would like to just
I think so.
so this isn't like complaining about questions at all, but specific keywords, those have to be looked at very specifically because the 3 keywords I was given were clearly pointing to a different movie than what you were looking for. Like they were 100% applicable to both movies from the category in that year. So like I should have challenged officially and I didn't. And that's totally on me. I'm not saying we lost the match because of that, because it's a whole different story. All I'm saying is if we're doing IMDb round where it can count for more than one movie, where the keywords are applicable to more than one movie, it needs to be way, way more specific. Because I had multiple people message me from the singles IMDb round as well, just saying that the keywords are way too general. And I know we wanted to make it more difficult because the first time we tried the IMDb round, it was super, super easy because we only had one category. So I just think it was a little bit off the deep end. And that's just a thought that I've had for a while, and I've talked to Caleb about that too.
Okay,
and honestly,
so I got to put my producer hat on because obviously I took a big risk putting this many people on the panel, and we have 2 guys who are really on a time crunch. So I'm gonna make an executive decision. We're gonna move on to the singles title match, and I'm gonna let Robert Parker say his thoughts on the match. Then we can get to whether or not Tim is drinking Ryan's Kool-Aid, and then we can give Dave and Nazario a little bit of time, and then we can head on out. For sure. So you just want me to talk about singles title match? Quick? Yes, please. All right. So singles title match. Let's see. I have won. There have been 2 Fandom singles title matches in Multiplex. I have won them both by knockout. There has not been a singles title match in Fandom that has gone to the 5th round. I have won them both by KO. The round 1 scores have still been relatively low because those are some nails questions. But I think that this match was very telling that people overhype certain competitors when they get on a run. Somebody like Case, after the tournament was over, he went on a run, and everyone was talking about he was going to be the one. A lot of people voted for me and put their support behind me because I'm more of the face in that match, in that matchup. But at the same time, he was on a hot streak. And we have seen now how quickly those hot streaks can come crashing down because he had a very poor round 2, and I capitalized off of that. I had an incredible round 2, and the match was over by the time we hit round 4. So those are my thoughts. It was a fun match to play in. It was one of my most proud matches I've ever played, but we've seen what happens now. I win title matches by knockout. Cody, by the way, hello, Caleb. Sorry you're coming in on such a chaotic episode.
Yeah, sorry. I meant to be in here about 20 minutes earlier.
I'm going to go to Cody so he can say what's on his mind.
This is going to be quick. The problem is that I always have everybody has. When you consider that you can beat Robert Parker, you need to sit back. You need to think. We get so many competitors that come in and be like, I can beat Robert. The problem is that they know certain movies. Robert spends so much time studying everything. And that's the problem that you face. If you don't know Middle Earth, if you don't know Wizarding World, if you don't know the fandom categories, DC, Marvel, MCU, you're not going to beat Robert on any given day. That's just the basic fact of it. The problem is, people always say that, Cody, you just rode on to Robert's coattails. You became a manager to manage a champion. Me and Caleb have been in talks to make me his manager for a long time. It just didn't work story-wise. This is the basic fact. This man for Champions Week literally put me to task. I had to learn more about fandom than I've ever had to know, and we spent study sessions, and this man takes this so serious. So, everybody in Multiplex that think you have a shot at the title, if your excuse is, I need to watch more movies, you're not ready to place Robert. That's just the basic fact. If you haven't seen something, you don't need to be playing against him.
And also, to be fair, I think that Case is the closest to come, in what you're saying. I think that he has a lot of knowledge about a ton of different things, and specifically things that Robert doesn't know a lot about, like Bond. But even that, Case having so much knowledge wasn't even close enough and still got knocked out by Robert. So I don't think there's going to be anybody who can
and
really.
He took MCU. He took MCU and could not compete. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And Robert did not get Middle Earth or Wizarding World that people think he's whole. And he got DC.
I got went 9 of 10 points.
9 for 10. And if he would have just went what he knew Caleb was asking, he would have got 10 out of 10.
That got cut out.
He's got to be a dick. Oh, it got cut off. Well, okay, fair. But there's fair. But okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna move straight into the controversy after the match. Tim, what is your relationship with Ryan the Hunter Permison?
Ryan is a wonderful man. I don't see what the problem is here. In all seriousness, me and Ryan have been talking, and there's just there's some things that need to happen. I still love brother Robert. I still love our manager Cody, but there are some other things that Ryan was whispering in my ear that I like the sound of. So yeah, some things are happening.
Oh, disgusting.
Okay. So before we move on to anything else, who has to leave at this moment right now?
I will say for Caleb's message, and then we're out.
Just got here.
Yeah,
I know I just got here, but
I have to leave after Caleb's spiel, probably.
Okay, Coho, give everyone what you have to say.
I will very quickly jump on and say, one, Ryan came and talked to me afterwards, and I don't like at all what he was talking about. But there will be, I guess, an extension to the season. And it is a sort of 2-person versus a faction thing that he wants to happen. He wants me and Robert to take on each member of the Alpha Alliance. And if I win, I get the commissionership back, and I don't understand what's happening. But whatever. I guess that's what's happening. Also, to make an announcement in relation to Fandom outside of that, the official categories are in. The 3 categories that are going to be leaving, the 2 that were voted out were Kaiju and Back to the Future. Those are officially out next season, as well as a admin decision, a question writer talk that we had. Indiana Jones will be retired for a season as well, because the questions are getting very hard to write. So those 3 will be going away, and in place of it, we will be bringing in 3 new categories. We'll be bringing in Rocky/Creed, DreamWorks Animation, and Studio Ghibli. Will all be in Fandom next season.
Yes. The new Kaiju. Yay.
Those were the 3 most voted for poll options. Those will be in. Movie quotes will also be implemented next season, and Disney will be split into live action and animated. That is officially a change, and Fandom Oscars will be implemented as a strength-only category. Those are my announcements, and one last announcement that I have is in relation to Nerdgasm. Nerdgasm is coming back next season, and we have 2 new co-heads to run that, and one of them is on this call. Mr. Cody Newberry, welcome to the Multiplex admin team. As the new head of Nerdgasm with your partner, Brooklyn Vale. So I'm very excited to have you guys coming on to take that over and run that. But yeah, so those are my announcements. Piss off Ryan, and I'm out.
All right, thank you, Caleb Coho. And Tim, I understand you had both Tims, I think, have to drop off.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you, Multiplex Commissioner, for the big announcement regarding Last Stand and the TV Throwdown Division's revamp. So thank you very much. If I can be on the call because apparently I'm a bad manager if I'm not with Eli for his match against Jake. When
you wrap up with this, just hit me up.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much.
Yep. Goodbye.
Arkham Knights, I believe that you said you were on short time.
Yeah, they have better things to do. You can get them back when they're team champions. So yeah.
No, we love you, Nico.
No, okay.
Thanks for that,
they're
Nico.
nicer than me.
Okay. If you guys can just give your plugs real quick, that's fine, and then we'll finish out the show with Michael and Christopher, and we can talk about Dave and Nazario because they have not gotten any love. So we'll start with Tim.
Yeah, I haven't even watched that match yet. So yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Stardust and Letterboxd and YouTube, all at Tim Loves Movies. I just did a nice long breakdown of the new Avengers Endgame trailer with my lovely wife Maggie, and I also just did an early review for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I've got a Bumblebee review coming out later, so please check that out at Tim Loves Movies.
Robert the Hobbit Parker, the singles fandom fight champion. Where can the good people find you?
You can find me personally on Twitter and Letterboxd at RBRTPRKR98. That's my first and last name, no vowels plus a year. You can find me doing admin and hosting duties at Take 3 Productions, admin hosting and question writing duties at Full Metal Media, specifically Full Metal Geek. And you can find me winning fandom and geek trivia on the interwebs.
And Cody Newberry, you have to go to Rankum. Am I correct? So where?
You get me for another hour. If you want me to leave, I will gladly leave.
Oh, you can stay. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I thought you also had you were also on a time crunch, but thank you to the Arkham Knights for being on the stream.
Thank you, Nico.
See you later, champs.
See you next month, boys.
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
Oh, good Lord. I'm never doing a panel this large ever again. That was stupid on my part, but again, I like to shoot for the stars. So,
you invited me. It's your problem.
So we've
It's
heard,
true. You did invite Cody, hence you should have known you were asking for trouble, Nico.
Yes. So, Michael.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
Before we move on to the next match, questions I wanted to just discuss. There was one in the team match, and that was the Spider-Man 2 match. The question was about the Punisher. That was so. The question was, anti-hero was implied at the end, and the correct answer is the Punisher, and then Robert said the New Goblin. So they had a challenge. It wasn't there for the calls. I don't know what happened in the challenge, but Robert was given the. But my issue is that I don't think that should be a question, because it's first, if you go watch the scene, it's just a dude in a leather jacket looking at Mary Jane, and that's it. And it was military track that's supposed to be the Punisher. They got Thomas Jane's stunt double. So I feel like that's kind of an impossible question to answer, but Paul and Dohmen got it, which, props to them, but I feel like that's a tough question to ask. And then the second one is in the singles match. It was the Lord of the Rings question that Case got about the quote. The question was, what was, I'm trying blanking on who it was,
What
but
were
it
the
was
final words?
the last words. Yeah. And so they were looking for the whole quote, the whole phrase. Case said literally the last two words, and he was ruled wrong, which I straight up disagree with, because you can say Case isn't correct, and maybe if you're asked for the last words, Case isn't wrong. He's not. Technically, he's right. So
Okay.
and that's.
So somebody was on both those calls.
Yeah,
Somebody was on both those calls.
Yep.
One, the problem with Case's thing, I think where he got stuck on, he asked, you're asking for two words, right? But that was never clarified. Yeah. That was never discussed. So they were looking for in the question, which I should have said more words, or however, I don't know how they want to do it. And boom, boom, boom. And they were looking for my brother, my captain, my king. So that's, I think, why they ruled with that, because Case got stuck on the two words, but that's not what they were looking for. But I guess there needed to be more clarification. The problem I had with the Spider-Man one, more than anything, is, and I've talked to Caleb about this, and I don't hate on any question writer ever for the basics, because it's a hard task to do. That's why even if you don't like a question, you can disagree that the question may be too hard or maybe too difficult. But at the end of the day, they took the time. It's free. They're not getting paid. Deal with it. But the problem I have with
completely
Fandom,
of course.
The problem I have with Fandom is there's a lot of questions that don't actually happen in the movie, and you have to pull from different stuff. So in Smarticus match, Robert got a question about the Potter question.
Yeah.
1981 shows up in no movie on anything ever, but he had to know it. So my question is, I think Fandom's getting too difficult. Now, I agree that not everybody can watch every movie possible to write all these questions. I get all that fact. But I think Wikipedia is doing a discredit on some people because they pull from that stuff. thinking it's in the movie, but it's not physically in the movie. So it's very tough. I think that I believe, even though sitting as a person on the call, I knew the anti-hero question just because I figured in Marvel anti-hero, it's got to be Punisher. That's where my head would have went.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't believe that's a fair question. But again, that's where it rules. That's why I didn't want Robert to fight too hard at the end because, I mean, at the end of the day, it was pretty much decided who was winning that match. We were just trying to hang on to any points that we had. So,
yeah.
I feel like the only category you can really get away with, like the weird Wikipedia questions, is Star Wars, and that's because that category has pretty much explored every avenue of question for their movies. Whereas there's still plenty of ground left to cover with Harry Potter and the MCU and Disney and whatnot. But Dohmen, you've been pretty silent, and that's kind of my fault. But your partner case was in this match, and so how did you feel about the singles championship?
Oh boy. Look, he gave it his best, but oh man, he was not. He just got questions I didn't know the answer to, and obviously, round 2, MCU fucked him up, and then he probably could have made something of a comeback if King Kong 1933 had not been spun, and Case, to a fault, refuses to watch movies made before 1960. Like, and granted, I say it as a joke, mostly, but it's older films are not on his higher priority. And granted, if I would have been there, I would have cranked those questions out of the park because I love that movie. But obviously, I can't speak for people who don't, I'm not gonna speak on his behalf in terms of like his mindset of how he views film. He didn't know the questions about King Kong, and that's what sunk him. So, but yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our final match, which was actually our first match of the evening. And that was Dave Goodyear taking on Nazario Montenegro. And there were apparently I'm Kane McMillan's lawyer. That's the thing now, I guess. And I'm supposed to break him out of jail. Also, Rocket Raccoon.
I think you mean Dan versus Nazario, because on the graphic it said Dan instead of Dave. Did you notice that? That's
actually on my show notes. Yes, someone screwed up the scoreboard and wrote Dan instead of Dave. So Kane, if that was you, you're making it harder for me to want to break you out of prison. So check the spelling. Also, Rocket Raccoon made a cameo in Nazario's promo, which was kind of funny. But basically, it worked like this. Round 1, they were both tied at 5 apiece. After round 2, Nazario had the lead of 8-14. And then round 3, it was just a very, very terrible night for poor Dave Goodyear, who was, I think, like half asleep throughout the entirety of the match because he had literally just been woken up from sleeping to tape this. And it ended in a score of 2-15, a TKO win by Nazario. He moves on to play Sandy Robinson for a number 1 contender spot in the new year. So, Cody, I'm going to go to you first. How did you feel about that match?
This is going to sound really insulting to Nico, and I kind of mean it that way. No, basically how it is, Dave is like Nico. He loves to play this game, but it just never goes his way. And I feel bad for him most days. I really do.
I have a 2-2 record in this division.
Who did you beat?
Someone we don't talk about anymore, and Jim Green.
Yeah, those people. I saw your Jim Green match. That match was terrible. It shouldn't have been aired. But again, there's nothing wrong with liking to compete and having fun in the game. Like, I don't blame anybody that wants to play. But like poor Dave, it never goes his way. Nazario in Fandom, those are a lot of strength categories for him. He's very strong. Still not the strongest, but he's good. And he can hold around for a while. I just feel bad for Dave most days.
Dohmen, your thoughts?
Okay, so Anybody who knows Nazario, they know he's damn good. And while he kind of surprised me with his performance in the Fast and Furious realm because, A, those movies suck. Why would you bother to learn those questions in the first place? But whoa,
Michael, come on.
Come on, Michael. Come on. It's about family.
Look, when was the last time you watched Tokyo Drift? Goddamn.
Anyway. Like, no, Nazario is honestly one of the most underrated competitors in the league. Like, he is fantastic. So, of course, I expect him to steamroll poor Dave. But yes, and Dave, as someone who also, a couple times literally had to do a match right after waking up, it's kind of difficult to make that happen. So you hit a bit of bad luck, and hopefully you can get back on the horse and go for it again. And boy, oh boy, Sandy has his hands full with Nazario in the next match. That's all the more I'm going to say about that.
Michael Campbell.
Case throwing shade at you, Dohmen, in the chat. I'm sad.
It's fine.
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, again, I just feel bad for Dave. Like, I think it's the third time in a row he spun opponents, and he got given Nazario's ultimate strength of Back to the Future, and it was just tough. And round 3, he had to bet big every time, and each time he just got a question that he didn't know. It was the Star Wars question, which was a little bit tricky, which he had to think about, and he just overthought it. And yeah, 15-2 is I feel bad that that's the final score because Dave played better than that. But I don't know. Hopefully he can get a match where the time for him is 3 in the afternoon and he can play well.
Okay, so those are all the matches that happened this past weekend. I'm never again doing a panel that has 8 people on it because that is just asking for trouble. But before we get out of here, I'm going to preview what's to come for this coming week in Multiplex, because with Fandom Fight kind of unofficially done for the season, we can now put our attention to figuring out the picture for movie Warzone, and we have 4 big matches dropping tomorrow. Or maybe we can spread them out throughout the week. I don't know. That's up to Jake if I talk to him. But let me just give you a preview of what's to come. We have Zach Ford taking on Kane McMillan from another creepy basement that he's locked up in. We have Dan Skip Allen taking on a person at this desk, Mr. Cody Newberry. We have Sean Sandberg making his long-awaited return to movie Warzone to take on Brian Michaels, who's been on a tear throughout this community lately. And speaking of Brian's, we have Brian Fernandez taking on one half of Blockbuster Video, Mike Hanley, Mr. DVD himself. So we have some really good general movie trivia matches coming up this week. And let's run down the panel and ask, Dohmen, what do you think is going to be the best of these 4 matches?
As far as stats wise, anything with Sean Sandberg is going to get into the 20s easily. But I'm not gonna lie, I am very much looking forward to that Mike Hanley Brian Fernandez match, because 2 gentlemen that in my career I've always wanted to play and I've never had the chance to, and so just for me personally, that's gonna be the most fun to watch. Just to watch them kill each other.
And Cody Newberry, you're in one of these matches. So which of these should we be the most excited for?
I'm playing Dan Skip Allen, so he barely beat a Hunter Chambliss, so you don't have to really watch that match that much. Somebody on this desk knows how to lose to me in movie Warzone.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
And you may lose to me.
I mean, that's what happens when you wake up 20 minutes before the match.
That's 100% true. That's why I only battle Australians on my time. Sean Sandberg, that's going to be a fun match. I really enjoy watching him play because he's a juggernaut. Yeah, and Brian Michaels is no one to sleep on. Brian Michaels is terrifying in this league. Like, I hope I don't have to play him. Play him in Geek, but don't play him in regular movies because the man is a titan.
And Michael Campbell, which of these matches should we be the most excited for out of the four here?
I definitely think it's Sean versus Brian. That was a heavyweight match that I'm going to be very interested in because I think whoever wins that should be in line for like the title match. Don't sleep on Cody versus Dan though, because I predict that'll be, I reckon maximum one question will be missed between the both of them. So don't sleep on that one.
I can tell you right now, I was on the desk for the Brian Michaels Sean Sandberg match, and there's an argument to be made that is probably one of the best general movie trivia matches that this community will ever see. And that's high praise, but you guys are in for a serious treat when that drops this week. So with that said, this has been Around the League, episode 20. And it feels like we had 20 people on this call at one point, but I learned my lesson. I'm going to keep it short, maybe down to 5 for the next one, if not lower. But let's go through the plugs and let's send this baby home. Michael Campbell with the Chance Ellison connection. Where can the good people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Letterboxd at just my name, Michael Campbell. And I've got a team match coming up. That'll be at the Snowball team title match, defending our titles that against Nazario and Mike, which should be fun. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
You also have an upcoming movie Warzone match with me whenever we tape that.
Well,
and
apparently we do, but yeah, is that even going to happen?
So I have some information regarding that, by the way. You and I are going to compete at some point before the end of the year. And depending on if I win or if I lose, I will then play either the winner or the loser of Hunter Chambliss versus Russell Howell in the opening night of my charity week on January 21st. So, yeah, if I lose to you, I'm playing someone who's 0-3 also. If I beat you, I'm playing someone who's 1-2. So that's going to determine my future. But Cody Newberry, where can the good people find you?
What is your record in Warzone?
It is 0-2.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. You can find me
kiss my ass
everywhere. You can find me on Take 3. Watch Along War Turn in January with me and Robert. You can find me on Late Night with Take 3 with Brooklyn Vale over there. Find me as hosting in Full Metal Geek on Full Metal. Find me as a grumpy old man in the corner on Rankum, which is Christmas songs right after this. You can now find me running Nerdgasm, which if you're interested, there will be a post soon on Multiplex. Anybody that wants to come debate geek stuff or fandom in general, now that Rocky and everything's on the table, anything's possible. So you can find me there.
Christopher Skywalker Dohmen, where can the good people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow my channel, Dedicated Art, on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. We do Shimona reactions. We have a weekly live podcast, and we also do a Star Wars Resistance recap show that our lovely host, Nico, has appeared on the last episode and will be appearing again on our latest one, covering the mid-season finale for Star Wars Resistance Season 1. And you can follow my band, Silver Nightfall, all across social media at Silver Nightfall.
Yeah, so if I'm not managing Eli for his match against Jake, it's because I'm shooting Viva la Resistance. So, Cody, don't bitch at me. But you can find me on...
you can also find me winning the Manager Bowl. I forgot to tell everybody that. You can find me winning the Manager Bowl and Michael coming in second. So that'll be fun.
Never mind. And you can find me on Facebook. It's not worth it. It's not worth my blood pressure getting too high. You find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli. You can find me over at Film Nerd TV helping out with Combat Zone Wrestling Trivia, which is run by me and Hunter, the Hitman Chambliss. We also have a podcast together called The Week of Wrestling. The name is very self-explanatory. I was not on this week, but Andrew Hayes was a good fill-in as the co-host, so tune into that podcast. And you can also, of course, find me on Viva la Resistance with Christopher Dohmen and Case Cornelese over on Dedicated to Art, because that is always a fun time. And you can find me right here at Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. The TeePublic is just Multiplex. We have some awesome shirts. Case Cornelese has a shirt. Robert Parker has a shirt. Paulo Yama has a shirt. Zadie Smith has a shirt. Pretty much everybody who is in the upcoming Multiplex Championship match has a shirt, except I think Lucas. We should probably get on that too, but I don't know if Boston Masshole is safe for kids to buy. And in terms of the schedule here at Multiplex, Monday is Movie Warzone. Tuesday is TV Throwdown, both singles and fandom. They're making a big comeback. Wednesday is Sports Battlefield. Dan Skip Allen will have information on the return of that as well. Thursday, there are two shows. One of them is the Co-Hoskers, hosted by Caleb Coho and Jake Marangoni. When you don't want to watch that show, you can instead watch my show with Zadius E-Man Smith. It's an Arrowverse discussion show called Crisis on Earthplex. And right as we're finishing up this show right now, it's the first part of the 3-part crossover for the Arrowverse, Elseworlds. So we're going to talk about that this week. Friday is Fandom Fight. We just had Championship Week. We might have some more stuff coming for this year because Caleb Coho and the Ryan Primerson storyline. Michael is timing me. I see that now. Nerdgasm is on Saturdays. That's our debate show. Cody Newberry is a writer now there, and it's coming back in the new year. And then on
Not
Sunday,
just a writer. It's my league now. So get ready. Also, you can find me on Confidential Cinema. Henry Sanchez runs the thing. It's pretty great. He's a lunatic. You shouldn't really watch anything he does, but he's crazy, so go watch him for that. Ooh, Dohmen with hate. Dang.
Anyway, and on Sunday, we wrap it all up in a nice little bow, although this bow was a lot messier than usual, right here on Around the League with Nico. And finally, the John Regoli Memorial Trivia-thon for THON from January 21st to January 27th. I'm competing in pretty much every day that week in various leagues around here in various divisions in all of these leagues to raise money for the 4 Diamonds Pediatric Cancer Research Fund in partnership with Penn State THON. So that's going to be fun. And the main event of that week will be the Combat Zone Wrestling Trivia Championship over on Film Nerd TV. The semifinals will be uploaded next week and the week after, and you'll find out who's going to be in the main event. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, this has been Around the League with Nico. That is Cody Newberry. That is Michael Campbell. That is Christopher Dohmen. I'm me. And thank you all for being here. Tune in next time. Thanks for sticking around.